Ethan had always considered himself ordinary, a graphic designer who'd moved to the city for a fresh start. But the moment he met his neighbor Mira, ordinary became impossible. She appeared at his door the day he moved in, holding a plate of cookies with a smile that seemed to know secrets he didn't. Her auburn hair caught the afternoon light in unusual ways, and her amber eyes held an intelligence that felt almost inhuman. "Welcome to the neighborhood," she'd said, her voice like honey. "I'm Mira. I live next door, and I have a terrible habit of being nosy." That was 3 months ago. Since then, their encounters had become the highlight of his days. She'd appear at random moments, at the coffee shop where he worked remotely, at the park during his evening walks, always with that knowing smile and playful energy. "Stalking me again?" he'd tease. "Maybe you're just predictable," she'd counter, her fingers brushing his arm in ways that sent electricity through him. Their relationship existed in a strange limbo, too intimate to be mere friendship, too playful to be serious. She'd lean close when they talked, her breath warm against his ear. She'd steal food from his plate at restaurants, laughing when he protested. She'd send him texts at midnight with cryptic messages that made him smile despite himself. But she never let things go further. Whenever he tried to ask her out properly, she'd dance away with a laugh and change the subject. On a rain-soaked Tuesday evening, they found themselves sharing an umbrella after a chance meeting at the bookstore. The narrow shelter forced them close, her warmth pressed against his side. "You know," Ethan said, emboldened by the intimacy of the moment, "you'd make a terrible wife. You steal food, appear uninvited, and never give straight answers." He meant it as their usual banter, expected her to laugh and play along. Instead, Mira stopped walking. Her hand tightened on his arm, and when he looked down, her expression had transformed completely. The playful mask had cracked. Her amber eyes were wide, vulnerable in a way he'd never seen. Her lips parted slightly, and for a heartbeat, he could have sworn he saw something shimmer in the air around her, like heat waves, but tinged with golden light. "Ethan," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Don't joke about things like that." The raw emotion in her tone stunned him. This wasn't the confident, teasing Mira he knew. This was someone else entirely, someone real, someone afraid. I'm sorry," he stammered. "I didn't mean." But she'd already pulled away, stepping out from under the umbrella into the rain. Water immediately soaked her hair, but she didn't seem to notice. "I need to go," she said, and something in her voice made his chest ache. Before he could respond, she'd disappeared around the corner, leaving him standing alone in the rain, wondering what he'd just broken. Ethan couldn't focus on work the next day. He'd sent Mira 5 texts, each one unanswered. By evening, his worry had transformed into determination. He needed to understand what had happened. He found her on the apartment rooftop at midnight, a place he'd discovered was her refuge. She sat on the edge, legs dangling over the side, staring at the full moon. The sight made his heart leap to his throat. "Mira," he called softly, not wanting to startle her. She turned, and in the moonlight, he saw she'd been crying. The realization hit him like a physical blow. "You shouldn't be here," she said, but her voice lacked its usual strength. "I shouldn't have joked like that," Ethan replied, sitting carefully beside her. "But I don't understand why it hurt you. Help me understand." Mira was silent for a long moment. Then she laughed, but it was bitter, broken. "You really don't know what I am, do you? What you are?" She stood abruptly, and before Ethan could react, she closed her eyes. The air around her shimmered, and suddenly, 2 fox ears materialized atop her head, followed by a magnificent auburn tail that swirled behind her like flame. Ethan's breath caught. He should have been terrified, should have run. Instead, he found himself captivated by how perfectly it suited her, how right it looked. "I'm a kitsune," Mira said, her voice barely above a whisper. "A fox spirit. I've lived among humans for decades, always watching, always alone. We're not meant to form attachments. We're tricksters, observers, eternal outsiders. She turned away from him, hugging herself. But then you moved in next door, and you were so genuine. So warm. I couldn't help myself. I started seeking you out, playing with you, pretending I could be close to someone without consequences. Mira. When you joked about me being your wife, she continued, her voice cracking, it wasn't funny. Because I've been imagining it. Every day, every night. I've been pretending that maybe, somehow, I could be that for you. That I could be human enough, normal enough, to deserve that kind of happiness. Ethan stood, moving closer. His hand found hers, and when she didn't pull away, he intertwined their fingers. Look at me, he said gently. When she did, tears glistened on her cheeks. Without thinking, he reached up and touched one of her fox ears. It twitched under his palm, soft as silk. I don't care that you're not human, Ethan said firmly. I care that you're you. The woman who brings me coffee without being asked. Who texts me terrible puns at midnight. Who lights up every room she enters. Ethan, you don't understand. He silenced her by cupping her face in his hands. Then explain it to me. All of it. Because I'm not walking away. Not from this. Not from you. Her tail wrapped around his waist, pulling him closer. The gesture was instinctive, vulnerable, and impossibly intimate. We form bonds, she whispered. Deep ones. When a kitsune gives her heart, it's forever. It can't be taken back. And humans, you're so fragile, so temporary. Loving you would mean watching you age while I stay the same. It would mean losing you. Maybe, Ethan agreed. But isn't a lifetime together better than an eternity alone? Myra's breath hitched. Then, slowly, hesitantly, she leaned forward until their foreheads touched. You're impossible, she murmured. So are you, he replied. Literally. She laughed through her tears, and the sound was the most beautiful thing he'd ever heard. The next few weeks existed in a bubble of discovery. Mira showed Ethan her world, the hidden places in the city where magic still lingered, the old shrines where spirits gathered, the way moonlight felt different against fox-touched skin. In return, Ethan showed her what it meant to be truly seen. He learned her favorite things, how she loved the smell of old books, how thunderstorms made her playful, how she hummed when she cooked. He discovered her vulnerabilities, her fear of abandonment, her loneliness masked by confidence, her desperate desire to belong. Their relationship deepened into something neither could deny anymore. One evening, Mira appeared at his door with rain-dampened hair and determination in her eyes. The moment he opened it, she kissed him, not the playful, teasing brushes she'd given before, but something real and hungry and desperate. Ethan stumbled backward, his arms automatically encircling her waist as she pressed against him. The door slammed shut behind her, and suddenly they were tangled together, all pretense abandoned. I can't keep pretending, Mira gasped between kisses, her fingers threading through his hair. I can't keep holding back. Then don't, Ethan replied, walking her backward toward his bedroom. Her fox ears had appeared, twitching with emotion, and her tail wrapped around his leg possessively. When they tumbled onto his bed, she was trembling, not with fear, but with the weight of finally allowing herself this intimacy. Ethan took his time, treating her with a reverence that made her breath catch. He kissed the sensitive base of her ears, making her whimper. He traced the line where her tail emerged, watching her arch against him. Every touch was a promise, every whisper an affirmation. You're beautiful, he murmured against her skin. Every part of you. Myra's nails dug into his shoulders, human enough to be careful but fox enough to mark him as hers. Ethan, she breathed, her voice breaking. If we do this, I can't go back. You'll be mine, and I'll be yours, and that bond, it's permanent. Magic makes it real. He pulled back just enough to look into her amber eyes. "Good," he said simply. "Because I don't want temporary. I want you. All of you. Forever." Her kiss was his answer, fierce and claiming. The air around them shimmered with golden light as their bodies intertwined, as Mira finally surrendered completely, as Ethan claimed what had always been his. When they finally lay tangled together, skin against skin, her head resting on his chest, Mira traced invisible patterns across his heart. "I can feel it," she whispered. "The bond. It's like a thread connecting us, warm and unbreakable." Ethan kissed the top of her head, right between her fox ears. "Tell me what it means." "It means I'll always know when you're in danger. When you're happy, when you're sad. It means my magic is tied to you now. Part of my life force keeps you healthy, extends your years to match mine more closely." She paused. "It means I love you, in a way that transcends human understanding." "Good," Ethan said again, his arms tightening around her. "Because I love you too. Fox spirit, trickster, eternal being, I love all of it." Myra's tail curled around them both like a blanket, and for the first time in decades, she felt truly home. Happiness never lasts without challenge. 2 weeks after they'd bonded, Ethan started noticing shadows that moved wrong. Figures that appeared at the edges of his vision but vanished when he looked directly at them. A feeling of being watched that made his skin crawl. Mira sensed his unease immediately through their bond. She appeared at his apartment one evening, her expression grave. "We need to talk," she said, and her serious tone made his stomach drop. They sat on his couch, her tail wrapped protectively around them both. "The magical world has rules," Mira began. "Kitsune aren't supposed to bond with humans. It's considered dangerous. Unnatural." "Why?" "Because bonded humans become touched by magic. You're not fully human anymore, Ethan. You'll live longer, heal faster, and you'll be able to see things most humans can't." She looked away. "That makes you a target." As if summoning it with her words, the lights in his apartment flickered. The temperature dropped sharply, their breath misting in the suddenly frigid air. Mira was on her feet instantly, her fox features fully visible, her body positioned protectively between Ethan and the shadows coalescing in the corner of the room. "Show yourself, Kaito," she growled. The shadow solidified into a man, or something wearing a man's shape. He was beautiful in a sharp, dangerous way, with silver hair and eyes like ice. "Little Mira," he purred. "Breaking the old laws. How disappointing." "The laws are archaic," Mira snapped. "And you're not the council. You have no authority here." Kaito laughed. "But I am a hunter. And bonded humans are my specialty." His gaze shifted to Ethan. "I can smell the magic on you, human." Fox touched and claiming. "It makes my work so much easier." Ethan stood, moving beside Mira despite her growl of protest. "What do you want?" "Want? I want to restore order. When spirits bond with humans, the balance shifts. Humans gain power they weren't meant to have. It corrupts them, drives them mad, turns them into monsters." Kaito's smile was cold. "I'm here to prevent that. By ending the bond." "You'd have to kill one of us," Mira said flatly. "Yes," Kaito agreed. "I would." He moved with supernatural speed, but Mira was faster. Her magic flared golden, creating a barrier that sent Kaito sliding backward. But the effort cost her. Ethan felt her exhaustion through their bond. "Run!" Mira shouted at him. "Not leaving you," Ethan shot back. Kaito attacked again, his own magic manifesting as ice shards that shattered against Myra's shields. The apartment became a battlefield, furniture exploding, walls cracking under magical assault. Ethan felt useless, human, weak. But then something stirred inside him, the bond, Myra's magic flowing through him. Instinctively, he reached for it. Golden light erupted from his hands, catching Kaito by surprise. The hunter staggered, and in that moment of distraction, Mira struck. Her magic bound him, threads of light wrapping around his body like chains. "Leave," she commanded, her voice echoing with power. "And tell your council that times have changed. Love isn't corruption. It's evolution." Kaito's form dissipated, but his final words hung in the air, "This isn't over." When silence returned, Mira collapsed. Ethan caught her, cradling her against his chest as she trembled. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I brought danger to you." "No," Ethan said firmly. "We faced it together. And we'll face whatever comes next the same way." Her tail wrapped around him, and through their bond, he felt her love, her fear, and her determination to protect what they'd found. The attack changed things. Mira wanted to run, to take Ethan somewhere safe and hidden. But Ethan refused. "I'm not hiding from my own life," he said stubbornly. "And neither are you." Instead, they went on the offensive. Mira reached out to old contacts in the magical world, those who sympathized with bonded pairs. Together, they built a case for changing the ancient laws. It took months of careful negotiation, of proving that their bond made them stronger, not corrupted. Ethan learned to harness the magic flowing through him, not to become a warrior, but to support Mira, to amplify her abilities. They became partners in every sense of the word. The council eventually agreed to a trial period. They would be watched, tested, and if they could prove that their bond was healthy and balanced, they would be left in peace. On a spring evening exactly 1 year after their first meeting, Ethan took Mira back to the rooftop where she'd revealed her true nature. "You know," he said, pulling a small box from his pocket, "I made a joke once about you being my wife." Mira's breath caught. Her fox ears appeared, twitching nervously. "It wasn't a good joke," Ethan continued, dropping to one knee. "But I'd like to make it a reality. Mira, will you marry me? Not because of a magical bond or ancient laws, but because I choose you. Every day. Forever." Tears streamed down her face as she laughed and cried simultaneously. "You're asking a fox spirit to marry you. You know we're terrible at traditional anything. Is that a yes?" She pulled him up and kissed him fiercely, her tail wrapping around them both. "Yes, you impossible man. Yes." Their wedding was small, witnessed by a handful of trusted friends from both worlds. When they exchanged vows, golden light surrounded them, the bond between them visible to everyone present, a testament to love that transcended boundaries. Years later, sitting on that same rooftop with Mira's head resting on his shoulder, Ethan reflected on how a simple joke had changed everything. "Any regrets?" Mira asked, sensing his thoughts through their bond. He looked at her, still beautiful, still playful, still his. The years had been kind to him thanks to their bond, and they stretched ahead with promise of centuries together. "Not a single one," Ethan replied, kissing her gently. "Though you still steal my food." She laughed, the sound filling the night air. "Some things never change." "Thank God for that," he murmured, pulling her closer. And under the watchful moon, a human and a fox spirit sat intertwined, proof that love could bridge any divide, overcome any obstacle, and create something truly magical.